On open blocks of business, the average Medicare supplement carrier is losing 5.9% for every new member they bring in. Or, in other words, for every
Wow.
$100 they bring in premium, the average carrier in the top 40 is spending $105.90 to keep that member. You don't have to have your doctorate in economics. You don't have to have a PhD to understand if you're spending $6 more, $5.90 more than you're bringing in, that's a
Mhm.
recipe for disaster.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Medicare Sales Playbook. We are very appreciative that you are here, however you're listening to us, going down the road in your car, watching on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, all the cool kids are doing. We want to thank you. And we want to tell you that we hear you. We've got several suggestions of speakers who we should have on. We've got several topic suggestions. If you want to leave us a suggestion, go to MedicareSalesPlaybook.com. There's a button there that you can mash, as my grandma would say, mash that button and leave us a topic or a guest that you would like to see on the show. So want to jump right into it today. I got a frantic call last week. And I've been getting a lot of frantic calls lately because the world of Medicare, there's been some changes. There's been some hints at changes. If you are in the Medicare world, you are getting emails right now about Medicare supplements. And the emails that I'm getting and the calls that I'm getting are Medicare supplements going away? Are they doing away with Medicare supplements? Why are so many companies jumping here and that and reducing commission and all that stuff? Then I got the call I wanted to hear. The gentleman that we are going to have on today there's a lot of times I told Matt Smith as we were driving in the car yesterday, I said, you know what, Matt, there's guys that I'm like, I could do what he does. I'm as smart as that guy. But when it comes to this guy, there's no chance. Like, I don't want to be as smart as him because I know the amount of effort and energy and study that he puts into what he does. I want to have friends like this guy. So when he called me, he said, Dallas, I've got a podcast. Before he said another word, I said, I'm in. So please help me welcome to the show, Medicare specialist, insider, guru, whatever you want to call him, Mr. Andrew Saul. Andrew, great to see you, man.
Dallas, brother, listen, I'm gonna try to live up to that rap sheet you just gave
No,
about me. But
I
dude,
saw
thank you
the
so
last
much.
podcast did.
Dude, it was so good. We had
Yeah,
so
it was
much
fun.
fun, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We did,
Bro, I
man.
really
So,
appreciate that podcast. That was my favorite
so,
one I've ever been on.
well, see, now I don't believe you, but I'm going to take it. I like it, man. I never trust a dude with platinum hair. You may be the first. I don't trust people with hair, period. But you are going to be the first. Dude, I'm going to launch the grenade right into it.
Let's
Okay.
do it.
So here we go. Are Medicare supplements going away?
No, end of podcast. So let's
All
talk
right.
about
Thanks for listening,
it.
guys. Appreciate y'all.
No, they're not. But there are some, I don't even know if pink elephant in the room is the right language. There are some pink blue whales in the room need to be
Yeah.
brought up and need to be discussed. But no, ultimately, Medigap's not going anywhere. It's cyclical. It's been through seasons of up and down and up and down and up and down. This is no different. But no, in the long run, Medigap's not going anywhere. And there are carriers who are prepared for days like today. And the carriers who aren't being prepared are essentially they're being exposed in the market.
Yeah. Well, so why is it we always believe that the state we're in now is the worst ever, right? Like
Yeah.
people talk about finances. I'm like, there was a time in the 20s that people would argue was a little worse. But is this what's with all the shakeup? What's causing everything?
Yeah.
Commissions are dropping, all that stuff. What does this mean?
Yeah. Let's just dive right into it. Is that okay?
Yeah, I got
Okay.
my swimming trunks on, buddy.
So, well, brother, put your floaties on. We going in the deep. I hope you're ready. So, let me take you back a couple months ago to Medicarians. Medicarians, I was on a panel, and essentially the panel was asked a few questions. And the questions were, what's going on with Medigap right now? What's going on with loss ratios? What's going on with rate increases? What's going on with carriers that are abandoning the market? And ultimately, the panel came up with two reasons, though I wasn't questioning those questions. I wish I had been. The people who were came up with two reasons. So if you can imagine, you got this mountain, right? You got this mountain. And on one side of the mountain is this elephant, and it's climbing the mountain. And this elephant is let's call it people who are on group plans right now,
Hmm.
who, according to Limmer right now, almost 75% of everyone on a group plan is on a high deductible plan, right? So they're people who are aging into Medicare. Maybe they're 62, 63, 64, turning 65 in the next 2 to 3 years, who are putting off elective procedures, or maybe like a knee replacement, shoulder replacement, rotator cuff repair, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. Because they don't want to meet their group plans max out of pocket or meet towards that deductible when they can come on Medicare, take a plan G, and get that thing out of here for $257 this year, right? So you've got these people. Because let's put it where it is. When's the last time you saw a group plan get better?
Never.
Ask any teacher in any state
1984.
in the U.S. in 1984. Yeah, you and George Orwell would be
Yeah.
pretty correct on that. Ask any teacher in any state in the United States, when's the last time their group plan got better? No one's going to be able to give you, or very few people will be able to give you a good answer, because typically group plans are not getting better the further along we get. In fact, they're becoming more single payer health driven, where more high deductibles are the norm in the market. It's just like pensions. When's the last time you heard about a good pension for someone 20, 25 getting into the workplace? That's not the
Yeah.
norm either anymore, right? Okay.
Hmm.
So you've got one side of the mountain, you've got people on group plans. The other side of the mountain, you have people who maybe were already Medicare eligible, and during COVID and elective surgery, they put it off. And now that COVID's over, they're going and they're having these elective surgeries, right? So the way it was brought up at Medicarians, what's the future of MedSup? Essentially you got these, they didn't word it like this, but this is how it came out. You've got these two elephants climbing this mountain and they're coming to a head. And because of that, carriers are having these major rate increases, carriers are seeing these major loss ratios. All right. I have a few problems with that. And that's what I want to talk about today. So if you could view this 2D mountain, okay, you've got these two elephants. You can visually see that, right? You could
Hmm.
visually see this mountain, these two elephants. What you can't see is the realism of a 3D mountain. On the back side of the mountain is this other elephant that no one sees coming because it's hid from the vast majority of agents unless you know where you're looking. So on the back side of this elephant, or the back side of this mountain, is an elephant I'm going to call a unique premium strategy. Really, I'll give you the actuarial term. How about that? Charter rotation strategy. So there's this elephant on the backside of the mountain called charter rotation strategy. I don't know.
We've lost visual of you, Andrew. Her third elephant. There you are. Bear with us, folks.
This third elephant coming up, it's called charter rotation strategy. Essentially, that's an actuarial term that breaks down to meaning this. A carrier comes into a market with a premium on, we'll call it a plan N, plan G, whatever you want to say, that's too good to be true, right?
Hmm.
It's something that, so right now in the nation, the number one Medigap provider that has the most lives on the book is United Healthcare. They own about 15% of the nation's Medigap population, right? United Healthcare
Hmm.
does. So it's a carrier that's coming to a market with a premium that someone like United Healthcare can't even compete with. We're talking 15, 20, sometimes 30% cheaper than what the largest carrier in the nation is able to do, right? So they're coming to the market a premium that's too good to be true. They know they're going to take loss ratios or losses their first 10 to 12 years. They're willing to stomach those losses, hoping to gather up enough market share that when they do eventually raise their premiums, they will be able to offset those losses and get, essentially hoping that they can bring in 40+% underwritten business. The mark to hit is about 38 to 40%. Anything above that is going to help offset these major losses that you're getting on your open block of business. So there's two things we need to talk about first. An open block of business and a closed block of business for an agent who might not understand that. An open block of business is a carrier's Medicare supplement pool that you're able to write new business into or underwrite business or guaranteed issue business into so that people can be a part of that premium that was sold for that year. You following me so far,
Hmm.
Dallas? I know you
Yep.
understand.
Gotcha. Yep.
Closed block of business is a pool of members that no one new is allowed into. So they're by themselves, they've been sectioned off. Those premiums are going to have, or excuse me, those underwritten carriers are going to have different premiums than what an open block has, because an open block allows you to artificially decrease premiums to bring in more business into the market. Now,
Mhm.
are you with me so far?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. So we've got this third elephant coming up, this charter rotation strategy, and I'm going to show you some examples of this in just a second. Are you familiar with an actuarial group or website? It's called Genry. You ever heard of Genry?
No, sir.
I call it GenRE. Some people call it Genry. So Genry gathers together your top 40 Medigap carriers in the nation, and it quizzes them and asks them based on their open and closed blocks of business what their profit ratio is, what their loss ratio is, how big their member pool is, what their premiums look compared to loss ratios. Genery just posted one of the research here, and if we can bring it up, I want to show you one of the unique things about it. Genery shows the profit margins on an open block of business and a closed block of business. Now they're gathering from the top 40 Medigap carriers in the nation. From those top 40 Medigap carriers in the nation, 2024's will be out in the next few months. So this is 2023. They just finished compiling 2024's ratios. So this is 2023. This is so interesting to me. On open blocks of business, the average Medicare supplement carrier is losing 5.9% premium for every new member they bring in. Or, in other words, for every
Wow.
$100 they bring in premium, the average carrier in the top 40 is spending $105.90 to keep that member. Now, let me ask you something. You don't have to have your doctorate in economics. You don't have to have a PhD in business,
Yeah.
your MBA, right? You don't have to have that to understand if you're spending $6 more or $5.90 more than you're bringing in, that's a
Mhm.
recipe for disaster. Can we
Yeah.
agree to that?
100%. That's me having to sit down with my daughter saying you're going to seven brew too much. Yep.
That's a good word right there. It's a really good word, brother. So that's essentially what we're seeing in the market. Now, a few carriers, namely, I'm not going to put their name out there, but you know who they are, who've recently left, got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. They came out with premiums maybe in 21, 20 with new underwritten companies. They spent one of the most popular ones spent a couple $1 billion to buy out a Medigap underwriter. They came into the market. They had been Mets up before. Should have probably stayed where they were. Got caught with their hand in the cookie jar because their premiums in every state were too good to be true. And if you
Mhm.
look at their loss ratios are exceeding 140 to 150% on an open block of business. And that carrier said this is not sustainable. They tried to cut commissions. That didn't work. And the next week, they just decided we're out of the market, right? So
Yeah.
you saw with that carrier, there was another carrier who you saw recently did this, and then a third carrier who's smaller, but came into the market with the cheapest plan G available, cheapest plan in available, and was not able to sustain because that charter rotation strategy wasn't working for them. You follow me so far?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so GenRE comes out, posts this open block of business. The average profit margin on this open block of business is negative 5.9%. One of the issues with agents who don't live in a birthday or anniversary rule state, who are writing the cheapest plan G because you've been told a plan G is a plan G, just go with the cheapest one. One of the problems with that is if you are not able to pass underwriting because you have some deficient diagnosis, you are essentially damning someone to a Medigap carrier that will have the highest rate increases of any other carrier in that state. What we're not seeing is the charter rotation strategy working well enough to maintain 40% underwritten business.
Hmm.
Um, I'll give you some examples. So I'm not going to name these carriers, but I'm going to pull them up right now. And they are the carriers a lot of us are writing. All right. So for instance, I've got one carrier that has a block of business that closed in 2024. So right before they closed, let me pull them up right here. They posted their rate increase. This is a year before they close. This is state of Texas. Hopefully, we'll post this right now. So in 2023, this carrier posted a 15% increase on Plan G, that's inflation increase,
Mm-hmm.
with a 10% inflation increase on Plan E. All right. In the same breath to the Department of Insurance in Texas, when they posted a 15% increase on G and a 10% on in, they tell the Department of Texas, with this rate increase, we are projecting our loss ratios to be between 95 and 96%. Or in other words, something unsustainable. For every
Funny.
$100 they bring in, they're spending 95.50 or 96.60 on claims, not on paying agents, not on bonuses, not on keeping the lights on at your facility, not on renting buildings, not on paying your CEO, not on paying your actuaries, not on paying your underwriters, just on claims, right? Now, the Department of Insurance in every state mandates you have to carry at least 65% loss ratios after you've had a open block of business for 3 years in order to continue operating. Or in other words, they have to spend at least $65 for every $100 they bring in on claims. The closer you can get to that 65%, the lower your loss ratios will be, which in turn, the lower your rate increases will be. All right. That was 23. Okay.
Mhm.
Come to 2024, same carrier, close their block of business. 2024, here's their rate increase. On Plan G, Plan F, and Plan G, a 15% inflation increase, okay, which is what they did last year.
Mhm.
A 12% inflation increase on Plan N. Now, they had a 10% on N last year. Now, with those increases, we'll post it right here. They are projecting future loss ratios, first year this book closed, of 100.1% and 100.2.5%. Or in other words, the first year the block closes, take the same increase and still project higher loss ratios. What does this tell us?
It
This
tells
tells
us
us
more
that the
raises are
state
coming.
DOI is allowed. What'd you say, Dallas?
I said it tells us more inflation, more raises are coming.
Brother, come on. It tells us that the state DOI is allowing this carrier to take lower rate increases on their open block to try to sustain more of a pool of people, knowing what's going to happen when that block closes.
Goodness.
Something's morally wrong with this. All right. Same carrier. Check this out. Same carrier. And I've got all their names blotted out on here, so you don't know who it is. But you message me, I might tell you. Same carrier opens a block of business in the state of Texas in 2024, right? Takes a rate increase, excuse me, in 2023. Takes a rate increase in 2024 of 7.5%. Didn't post loss ratios. It was their first year in the market. This year, July 1st of this year, they just posted their rate increase. Same carrier, but an open block, right? Same
Mhm.
carrier. This is what their rate increase says. We are requesting a 19.8% inflation on Plan F, 14.8% inflation on Plan G, and an 8% inflation increase on Plan N. Ready? Here's the best part. With these projected increases, we are projecting our loss ratios for future years. Second year in the market. This is their second
Mhm.
year. We're projecting our loss ratios for future years to be between 122.9% and 125.9% respectively. Second year in the market, cheapest Plan G available in most counties in the state of Texas, and they're telling you what they're doing. They're
Wow.
telling you we are taking losses to bring you the cheapest plan G available, hoping to get enough market share so that when we close this block of business, what a Medigap carrier does is this: they're going to keep 60% of their people on the book of business no matter what they do. I mean, think about it with me.
Due to health.
How
Yeah.
many people have you ever called that you could save $150 a month on their plan F to roll them to a plan G of another carrier, and they won't do it because they're too afraid?
Yeah.
Oh no, I like how this
Yeah.
is working. It scares me
It
to
ain't
move.
broke.
I
Don't
don't
fix
tell
it.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So
Yep.
Medigap carrier knows they're going to keep 60%. They're fighting over that 40%. And this carrier is telling you what they're doing. They're telling you we're going to sustain low premiums on our open block, knowing that when we close it, if you're sick, guess what? You screwed, baby. You
Hmm.
screwed. Dallas, in my heart, there's something morally wrong with that
Yeah.
because seniors don't know this.
No.
Agents don't know this. They're told to sell the cheapest. I mean, let me ask you this, Dallas. Do you still get do you still get phone calls? Because I get them all the time from an FMO, IMO, NMO calling you to recruit you. It says, "Hey, you live in this state. The cheapest plan G is with this carrier this year. We've got the
Hmm.
contract. Do you want to sell
Hmm.
this?" Yeah, it's bullcrap.
Yeah.
It's bullcrap. You're screwing a senior You're
Hmm.
screwing them in the future if they can't pass underwriting. Now, I'm not talking about birthday rule states, anniversary rule states, or some unique
Right.
GI state like New York. I'm talking about people in Texas. I'm talking
Right.
Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Nebraska. You get the point. I'm talking in the vast majority of states where if someone can't pass underwriting, here's their options if you have a cancer diagnosis on a med sub. You either keep paying your $600 a month plan G at 75, or you roll to a Medicare Advantage plan with cancer. Which one
Hmm.
makes the most sense to you?
Yeah.
And at that point, now you're comparing premium to max out of pockets. That's not fair. That's
No.
not sustainable. In fact, one of my favorite carriers who are known for doing this, just filed in the state of Texas. We don't have to say what their name is, but they've been known to do this for a long
I'm
time. And
trying to
hopefully you'll
read the
put it up right
reflection
here.
on your glasses right there.
Oh, no.
Just kidding.
Oh, no, bro.
I'm just
They
kidding.
came out in Texas. This is what they said. You can put this right here. Current rate levels across the industry have proven to be inadequate to provide coverage that can be reasonably assumed to meet target loss ratios without continued elevated future rate increases. Looking at our business on a going forward basis, our company needs as much as a 45% inflation increase to achieve our lifetime ratios. Open block of business, third year in the market. Okay. However, the balance of new business rate sustainability with enforced customer impact, our company believes that we will cap our 2025 rate increases at 25% to continue
Oh,
participation in the
how
Texas
kind
market.
of them.
Do you I mean, they're not even hiding it. They're just
Jeez.
spelling it out word for word what they're doing. Instead of these other carriers burying things under the dirt, so you don't really understand their actuarial language. This carrier, this carrier, we all know who's guilty of doing this. Just came out and said we need a 45% increase. However, because we want to bring more people in and have agents sell our products, we're only going to take a 25% increase this year, while sustaining loss ratios well over 100%. The largest carrier in the nation we were talking about earlier, on one of their closed blocks or open blocks of business, I was looking Utah yesterday with another agent, has a loss ratio of 300% on one of their plans. 300%. What's my point? Listen, these are new blocks of business. Get rid of this COVID crap. COVID is not the reason your rates are still going up.
Hmm.
COVID's 5 years ago, man. COVID's
Hmm.
4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Maybe people are still catching it, but those elective surgeries, no one's waiting 5 years to have that elective surgery.
Right.
They've already had that surgery. It's not been 5 years. That's not an excuse. Maybe the group plans are an okay excuse. Here's the problem no one's talking about. It's this elephant coming up the backside of the mountain.
I'm sorry, I'm back.
That's all right.
So the problem, it's not COVID anymore. The problem is this elephant climbing up the backside of the mountain that no one sees. It's the carriers. The carriers are the problem because they're
Mm.
trying to bring in a premium that's too good to be true. And the issue isn't who can maintain the lowest premium. The issue is who has enough money in the bank to sustain the loss ratios long enough to get all the other carriers out so that they can eat the market share. And that's what we're
Mm.
seeing right now. It's what's
Okay.
abundantly clear.
Yeah. You know, um, we could sit here and man, all great stuff. I hope people are listening to this and digesting it and understanding. Here's a couple things that I'm picking up. Number one, be a student of your business.
Come
The
on.
websites that you're looking at are not hidden websites. So the website
No,
you were talking about, it's not a hidden website. You can go look up this information. Do what's right by your client by looking that up. But so I want to ask this question. I'm a new agent. I understood about 40% of what you said. Here's, if I'm a new agent, I just understood, people are trying to come in and sweep the bottom price there and just get everybody in. As an agent, what is the ethical thing for me to do as I'm sitting in front of Bob and Mary, and I'm trying to get them the best deal possible? How do I best, to the best of my ability, because we don't know what rate increases are coming or whatever, they're
sir.
going to come, but how do I ethically serve those people if they want to go on a Medigap plan?
Great question. So, first, I'll make this statement. Ethically is a really good word because you have a moral obligation to people.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, health and life agents do not have a fiduciary responsibility, but I believe that's coming down the pipe. I believe the more that we see agents who are doing the wrong agents, let me rephrase. Agents who are not educating people properly on your options in Medicare and are just enrolling people based on what pays them the most, I think we're going to see a fiduciary rule come down the pipe for Medicare. Now, could it be a rule for health and life? Could it be wrong? Maybe. It's
Mhm.
probably not going to be a good thing overwhelmingly, because it will require something of agents that will be beyond just a moral obligation, right? So I'm projecting the future, hoping I'm wrong. But let's go back to your question. How does an agent, especially a new agent, do something that's morally correct? First of all, you need to understand, if the most populated Medigap carrier in the nation can't sustain a rate, it's not a true rate. Here's a good
Mm.
word that's not an actuarial term, but it's a good word. It's an introductory rate. It's a rate that introduces you to a Medigap plan at the cheapest point possible. And listen, once again, if you're in a birthday rule anniversary state, it makes sense.
Mhm.
Put whatever the cheapest carrier in that state is, unless you want to go with someone because they offer something unique and special, like bring gym memberships to the table or something like that. But outside of those states, you have to be strong enough as a new agent to educate clients on their options, explain introductory premiums, what will happen to those premiums over the lifetime of the policy. And I'm not talking about 20 years from now. I'm talking about 4 years from now when that block closes. Because an average carrier block of business stays open for 4 years if they're using this charter rotation strategy. After the fourth year, now we're done. Now we're jacking rates to the roof, right? Okay. So to do the morally right thing, explain how that works to a client. Okay.
Mhm.
If they want to go with the cheapest one, you've done your part. You have
Mhm.
absolutely done your portion of education, and that was their choice. But at least explain to your client. I know we had a podcast last time. We talked about, don't just leave your client there with one product. Give them the opportunity. It's your responsibility to give them the opportunity to know all their missing gaps in a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage plan, and to educate them properly on the products that can fill those gaps. Right? I would say the
Mhm.
same thing here. Your moral obligation is to educate them properly on what's going on in the industry, on carriers who are coming out with rates that are too good to be true, and they're posting rate increases. You've seen them 40% this year. I just read you one that said we needed a 40%. We needed a
Mhm.
45%. So I think it's your moral obligation to educate a client on the difference in the cheapest G and one that will maintain a stable block of business. And if you're new, you need to get with whoever your FMO is. You need to send Dallas an email. You need to send me an email, and we will
Mhm.
run, we'll run through who these carriers are. I don't care. I'm
Yeah.
not ashamed of it. I'm just not going to blast them in public. Not going to
Mhm.
blast them in private. This is all public information, I'm telling you.
Mhm.
But it needs to be shouted from the mountaintops so that
Mm.
agents know, hey, buddy, unless your client's going to die in the next 2 to 3 years, you can guarantee they can roll in 4 years. You're doing a disservice to someone. You- If you're not giving them options, you're doing a disservice to them. I don't care who pays you the most. I don't care
Yeah.
who offers the cheapest plan in your area. It means nothing to me in the big scheme of things.
Well, and we talk about who pays us the most and stuff like that. If that is your, let's throw moral and ethics out the window. Let's just think business wise. If you want to just get paid a ton of money up front, and I'm not against it, go sell final expense. Like that's a
Oh,
great
yes.
product for you, right? We
130%, 150%.
yeah, we sell Medicare financially because we want the residual income. If you're selling a product that they're not going to be able to afford in 3 years, 2 years, the residual
Yep.
income is not going to be there either because
It's a
they're
good word.
going to, and you say, well, then I'll just write them on an Advantage plan. If you do not tell them and educate them up front, they're not going to come to you to write the Advantage plan. They're
Right.
irritated with you. They're going to go somewhere else and get that Advantage plan because this guy didn't tell me that, you know, I mean,
Right.
basically, we're looking at, put that in the world of car sales. We're looking at car salesmen that are selling the cheapest car on the lot, knowing that the motor's going to blow in 25,000 miles,
Come on.
knowing that they're going to be back right there in the beginning, looking for another
Wow.
car, trying to figure out how we can get into it.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing
What a
too,
good analogy.
I love the thought. I love agents that take some time. I'm going to hit it again, that take some time to know their product. So let me ask you this question. If you're in the field,
Yeah.
what are some places that you can go and study the market and look up, if I'm sitting down with a client,
Yeah.
I can look up the AM Best rating, I can do all that stuff. But what are some
Yep.
places that you can take your client and say, hey, look at this. Here's where I'm getting this information.
Yeah, which by the way, the S&P and AM Best are paid by carriers to suppress poor ratings. So I probably wouldn't use those. Would use WISE ratings, which Medicare recommends if I'm looking up a Medigap carrier, because they're not paid by other carriers. They're paid by the actual agent who wants to look up their rating. Here's several options. Let me give them to you right now. You need to go to your state DOI. Okay. You whatever texasdoi.gov. Okay. Whatever state you're in. All right. You need to go to the NAIC's website. That's the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. They have loss ratios for every Medigap carrier in the nation posted on there. They have every Medigap carrier in the nation. In fact, I'll send that to you in an email right now, Dallas, if you want to be able to send it to people and show people. They have
Mm-hmm.
historic blocks of business. They have open blocks of business. All that's for free. Download it from the NAIC. And if you don't know how to navigate the website, that's fine. Go to Google, type in NAIC Medicare Supplement Loss Ratio History, and it'll pull up a PDF. The most recent one was 2023, released in October of 24. 2024 should be coming out soon, just like January's. Go to Genre's website, genre.com, I believe it is, or Genre something. Just go to Google and type in Genre, Genre, and type in Medigap, and you're going to come up with a lot of good articles. It's a fabulous website. Surf filings are pretty advanced to navigate, but if you can figure that out, I would navigate from there. Those are the high profile places, high level places where you're going to be able to navigate this info. Don't just use CSG. CSG is showing you loss ratios and increases on an open block of business only. It's not telling you the whole story. It's a little biased in that it's not showing you closed blocks. So you're going to see someone like, I'll give you an example, Bankers Fidelity, brand new in the market. First year in the market on Plan G, they have a loss ratio of 54% because you have 3 years to hit that 65% market, 65% loss ratio. Well, they've only been in the market barely 1 year, so they haven't sustained that yet. Just saying, you're going to see carriers like that, and it's any carrier, but I'm just using them for example because I looked them up the other day. Those are the websites I would navigate, I would become familiar with, and then I would become familiar with carriers who are open to showing you their closed blocks rate increases. If they're not willing to show, and if they give you this crap like, oh, I don't know where it is, I don't have it. Yeah, bull. Everybody's got it. I can show you any
Mm-hmm.
carrier in the nation. So every carrier's got it. Be
Yeah.
open to find broker managers, sales directors that you can work with who will give you that kind of data, because that's
Mm.
important. It's important.
Yeah. Love that, man. So, guys, last thing I'll say, to me, if you're a good agent, an ethical agent, an honest agent, and willing to put in the work, this is an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Any shakeup, we don't want to see it, but it is an opportunity to reach out to people and say, hey, listen, rate increases are coming. If you're on this one, I would be putting, I don't know if I would blast local names or anything like that, but I would be putting out Facebook posts, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, saying,
Sure.
hey, if you're seeing rate increases, I can tell you why. Click below to find out.
It's a
And
good word.
people are going to love to know, they're going to love to click on that and figure out why their plans are going up. People are scared, man. The seniors' number one concern is running out of money. And if
Yep.
they see the number one concern they have, the number one thing they spend money on is their health insurance. If it's going up and up and up,
Yep.
they are on a sinking ship and they need you to throw them a life preserver. So, man, Andrew, great work as always. We could go on for days and days and days. I love the fact that you love your business and you love people. You see
Yeah.
something that is happening, you don't like it. So you call me, you're like, hey, let's get this out there. Let's let people
expose it.
know. Let's expose it.
Come on.
Absolutely. And there are answers. It's not a hopeless scenario. It's just knowing this is what's going on. This is how you make sure that doesn't happen to your clients. So great stuff, man. Appreciate you as always.
It's a good word, buddy. It's a good word. Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate being here. Thought you'd love it. And yeah, the more we can continue bringing light to our industry, the better our industry is going to get.
100%. I look to be making money off this and helping people for a long time, buddy. I know you do as well. So we've got to call this stuff out. So I love it, man. Great. Andrew, thank you, buddy.
See you, my friend.
Absolutely. Guys, we appreciate you. And man, I hope you took the time to take some notes today. This episode was not for the agent that's going to go out and just write whatever is the cheapest one. It is. We want to call you out and be like, hey, do better. It's for the agent that wants to set themselves apart. It's for the agent that wants to go out there, be a professional in their industry to make sure that they are doing what is right for their client. If that is you, you have found the right podcast. And because we have great people, it's not me, it's people like Andrew Saul and Matthew Smith and these guys that come on here and do their job at a very high level. So appreciate that. Guys, I want to encourage you one more time. Please like, subscribe. Let us know what you think. We love the comments, the feedback, all that stuff. Want to encourage you to go to MedicareSalesPlaybook.com. Look at the boot camps that we are throwing. They have been phenomenally successful. We're having a great time. We're going out visiting cities in person. It's free. So look on MedicareSalesPlaybook.com, see when we're coming to an area near you, and we would love to meet you there. I want to thank our producer, Celine's in the studio, Adam's on the computer, making us look good, and we appreciate that. Guys, we will see you next time on the Medicare Sales Playbook.